Luke Hartwell dropped to his knees in the summer dust, his twins' small hands clenched in his calloused fists. The train hissed steam at his back. His voice cracked clean in two. "Please, ma'am, please come with me. My twins'll die without a mother." Travelers turned their faces away. The bride stood frozen, her valise trembling in her grip. A child wept without sound. A grown man's life broke open on a public platform. If this story moves you, hit that subscribe button and stay with me till the very end. And tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from tonight? I want to see how far this story has traveled. The bride did not move. Her gloved fist clenched the valise handle until her knuckles whitened. The man on his knees was looking up at her like she was the last clean water in a drought, and his twins, a boy and a girl no older than 5, clung to his sunburned arms, with their faces hidden in his shirt. "Ma'am," his voice cracked on the word. "I ain't askin' lightly." Her lips parted. No sound came. "My twins'll die," he said. "Maybe not tonight. Maybe not by next Sunday. But they'll die without a mother. I've watched a child grieve, ma'am. I've watched it eat a body from the inside out." A drummer near the train turned his head and pretended not to hear. The conductor cleared his throat, made some small note in his book, and stepped back inside the car. No one in this country would meet a man on his knees. She tried to make her mouth work. "Sir." "Luke," he said. "Luke Hartwell. And these are my twins, Hope, Eli." He nudged the boy gently. The boy did not lift his head. "Eli's stopped speaking, ma'am. 5 weeks now. Stopped the day we buried her." "Sir, I cannot—" "I know what I'm asking." His voice steadied. The plea did not. "I know I'm a stranger. I know it ain't Christian to ask a woman this in front of God and the railroad both. But the next train don't come for 9 days. And in 9 days, the summer'll have done what the grief started." The little girl Hope finally raised her face. Her eyes were the eyes of a child who had been carrying something too heavy for too long. "Are you the lady?" Hope whispered. The bride flinched. "What lady, sweet child?" "The lady Papa prayed for." The man looked away. His jaw worked. "Hope, hush now. You said an angel was coming on the train, Papa." "Hope." "You said it. I heard you say it to Mama's grave." The bride felt something break low in her chest, something that had been holding for months, maybe years. She looked at Luke Hartwell. She looked at the twin boy, who would not lift his face. She looked at the little girl, who had inherited her father's hope like an heirloom, and could not yet understand that hope was a dangerous thing to carry. "My name is Anna," she said. Her voice did not sound like her own. "Anna Brennan." "Miss Brennan, I'm not—" She drew breath. "I'm not an angel, Mr. Hartwell." "I never said you was." "Then why—" "Because you got off the train." He said it like that was the whole of his reasoning. "Because every other woman come on this line for the last 6 months ain't been for me. This one wasn't either, I reckon. But you're standing here, and the Lord puts people where they're needed, and I ain't too proud to ask him for a favor." She closed her eyes. "Mr. Hartwell, you do not know me. I know you got off the train. You do not know what I am running from. I don't need to know. I need a mother for my twins. The Lord knows the rest." "That is a poor bargain, sir." "It is the only bargain I got." She opened her eyes. He had not moved. He was still on one knee, his hat in the dust beside him, and Eli was making a small sound now, a high, thin breathing sound that was not quite weeping and not quite anything else. "Tell me about your home." She did not know why she asked. The words came up out of her like a thing pulled by a hook. "It's 2 hours north, ma'am." "That is not what I asked." He looked up at her. He understood. He swallowed once, and his Adam's apple worked. And when he spoke again, his voice was different, quieter, peeled back the way a man speaks when he has stopped trying to convince and started telling the truth. "I got 80 acres, he said. "Half-wooded. A creek that runs all summer when nothing else does. A cabin I built with my own hands the year I married, and a room off the back I started building for the twins when she was carrying them and never finished. I got a milk cow gone dry that the children named Sugar and won't let me sell. I got chickens. I got a rifle, and I know how to use it, but I have never used it on a man. Miss Brennan, and I do not intend to. I got a wife buried under a wild rose I dug up from the south slope when she was alive, because she said it was the prettiest thing in the county. I do not know how to braid a girl's hair. I do not know what to feed a boy who won't talk. I have been keeping them alive, ma'am, and I do not know how much longer I can keep them alive without help. The platform was silent. Anna Brennan did not breathe. Mr. Hartwell. Luke? Luke. She had not meant to say it. It came out anyway. I have a contract. A contract. With a Mr. Theodore Crane, of this town. He has paid for my passage. He is expecting me at his ranch by sundown. The change in Luke's face stopped her. It was not surprise. It was something darker, something that had walked through a door and recognized the room. Crane, he said. You know him. I know him. He stood slowly gathering Eli onto his hip with practiced care. The boy's arms looped his father's neck without any of the energy a child that age should have. Miss Brennan, listen to me. Listen good. Mr. Hartwell, Theodore Crane has buried 2 wives. One drowned in a creek, didn't come up past her knees. The other was found in her bed with what the doctor called a weakness of the heart. And that doctor is a man Crane pays for. There ain't a woman in this county will go up the road to that ranch without an armed man riding behind her. And the women who have gone up that road, ma'am, have come back in pine boxes or have not come back at all. She stared at him. Sir, I have signed papers. Papers won't bury you proper. Mr. Hartwell, surely there has been some Miss Brennan, there's a road out of this station. It forks 2 miles north. The east fork goes to my place. Quiet. Got a roof, got water, got the milk cow that's gone dry, got 2 children that ain't been held by a woman since their mother passed. The west fork goes to Crane. I ain't telling you what to do. I'm telling you what's down each road. A boot heel struck the platform behind them. Anna turned. The man who walked down the boards was tall, narrow, dressed in a black coat too heavy for the summer afternoon. He wore the kind of smile a man wears when he is not amused. 2 men walked behind him at a respectful distance. Both wore sidearms. The platform, which had been pretending not to watch Luke Hartwell, now openly looked away. Miss Brennan, the man said. He did not look at Luke. He did not look at the twins. You are quite a distance from where you ought to be, Mr. Crane. She did not know how she got the words out. My carriage is at the end of the platform. My driver has been waiting since noon. Come along, Miss Brennan. Luke Hartwell did not move out of the way. Crane saw him. The smile did not change, but the eyes behind it did. Hartwell. Crane. This is a private matter. It's a public platform. My understanding is that this woman is contracted. Your understanding ain't been right since you come to this country. Crane laughed. It was a small, dry laugh, and it had nothing to do with anything funny. You will find, Hartwell, that the law disagrees. The law disagreed with you about the Pearson plot, the McAllister fence, and a dead boy on the back of a wagon last September. The law, and you've been quarreling some time. Hartwell. Crane's voice dropped a half step. Step aside. And then Anna Brennan, who had not made one decision for herself in 31 years that had not been wrenched from her by another person's hand. Anna Brennan, who had buried a husband she had loved and a child she had loved, more spoke. I'm not going with you, Mr. Crane. The platform went quiet enough to hear the train tick as its boilers cooled. Crane turned his head slowly. I beg your pardon? I said I'm not going with you, sir. Miss Brennan, you signed an agreement. I signed an agreement to come here and meet a Christian widower of good standing and consider matrimony. And here I am. You are not what was represented to me, sir. He smiled wider. The 2 men behind him did not. Miss Brennan, I have invested considerable funds in your passage. I will repay every penny. With what? With... Her mouth closed. Her mouth opened. She turned her head and looked at Luke Hartwell, who was watching her with something on his face she did not have a name for. She did not plan the next words. "With my husband's wages, sir." Luke did not move. Eli on his hip did not move. The little girl Hope reached up and took Anna's gloved hand without anyone telling her to. Crane's smile thinned to a line. "Your husband?" "Yes, sir." "And who, pray, is that?" She squeezed Hope's hand. The little girl squeezed back like a drowning thing finding rope. "Mr. Hartwell." The world for one long second did not turn. Then Luke Hartwell, to his everlasting credit and her everlasting debt, did not blink, did not flinch, did not so much as draw an extra breath. He shifted Eli on his hip and tipped his hat back with one calloused thumb. "Mr. Crane." "Hartwell, this is preposterous." "Don't seem to be. You and I both know you have not been to St. Louis." "Don't have to go to St. Louis to marry a woman, Crane." "There are records." "Records say what they say. My wife says what she says. You can ride out to the parsonage and ask Reverend Goodall when you got the time, but I'd appreciate you taking your hand off your coat, sir, while you do it." Crane's hand had drifted idly toward his lapel. It stopped. The two men behind Crane had not stopped looking at Luke. They were looking at Luke the way men look at a problem they have been told to solve. Crane drew breath. "This is not concluded, Hartwell." "Reckon it ain't." "Miss Brennan." He turned the smile on her, and it was a worse smile now, a smile with calculation behind it. "I will be calling on you, soon, to clarify the matter of my investment. Mr. Crane, I will repay." "Oh, I'm certain you will." He did not take his hat off. He turned. He walked. The two men walked after him. The platform pretended again that it had not seen anything, and the conductor's whistle pierced the afternoon, and the train began to sigh and lean and pull away west. Anna Brennan stood very, very still. Hope still had her hand. Eli still had not raised his face. Luke Hartwell did not say anything for a long time. Then he said low, "Ma'am?" "I am sorry," she said. "For what?" "For naming you. In front of him. Without—" "Miss Brennan?" "I had no right to." "Miss Brennan, look at me." She looked. "You done me a courtesy," he said. "And I figure I owe you one back. The wagon's at the end of the platform. There's water in a jug under the seat. The road is 2 hours. You don't have to decide anything today except whether you'd like to ride." "Mr. Hartwell." "Luke. Luke." Her voice broke. "He will come. I know he will. He will come for me, and for you, and for—" She looked at Hope. She did not finish. "I know." He shifted Eli. He held out his free hand, palm up, not a man asking for a woman, but a man offering a passenger a step up. "Climb up, Miss Brennan. We'll work the rest out under our own roof." She had not had her own roof in 13 months. She had not had a hand offered to her without a price written on the back of it in 5 years. Anna Brennan picked up her valise. She let Hope keep her other hand. They had not gone 3 paces before a woman in a stiff black bonnet stepped out from beside the freight scales and into Anna's path. The woman had a face arranged for occasions of judgment. "You're Hartwell's bride, then?" Anna stopped. "I am Mrs. Hartwell, ma'am." "Mrs. Whitlock," the woman said. She did not extend a hand. "I hold the Tuesday prayer circle. We have been praying for those poor children." "Then we are obliged to you. You come a long way for a man who buried his wife 8 weeks past." "I come a long way, ma'am. Yes. There is talk. There is always talk. Some women," Mrs. Whitlock said, "would have allowed a decent year of mourning." Luke's voice behind her. "Some women would have let 2 children starve, Mrs. Whitlock." "Mr. Hartwell, I did not say, 'Good day, ma'am.'" He did not give her time to answer. His hand was at the small of Anna's back, not pushing, just present, and they walked with Hope on Anna's other side and Eli on Luke's hip off the platform and into the dust of a town that had already decided what kind of woman she was, into a country that did not know her name, toward a roof she had claimed in front of God and a dangerous man. Hope tugged her hand once hard before they reached the wagon. "Miss Anna." Yes, sweet pea. Are you really our mama now? Anna's throat closed. She knelt on the boards. She took Hope's small face in both gloved hands and looked the child in the eye. I'm gonna stay until your papa says different, Hope Hartwell. That's a promise. Do you know what a promise is? It's a thing you can't break. That's right, sweet pea. That's exactly right. Eli, on his father's hip, lifted his head for the first time. He looked at Anna. His eyes were enormous and dark. He did not speak. He reached out one small, slow hand. He laid it very carefully on the crown of Anna's bonnet. His mouth moved. He did not make a sound. But Anna Brennan, who had buried her husband in a soldier's grave at Cold Harbor and her boy in a churchyard outside Frederick when he was 14 months old, and whose heart she had thought was as buried as her dead, felt that small hand on her head, and understood that whatever she had agreed to here on this platform, in this dust with this lie, she had agreed to with all of what was left of her. Luke Hartwell saw it. He turned his face away the way men in this country turn their faces away from things they cannot afford to look at directly, and he loaded the valise into the wagon bed. The platform behind them was empty now. Far up the road, a man in a black coat stood watching from a carriage. He was not smiling anymore. The carriage at the far end of the road did not move when the wagon pulled away, and Anna Brennan did not look back, though every inch of her wanted to. Don't turn your head, Luke said quietly. He kept his eyes on the team. He's still watching. He wants to see if you'll look. I won't. Good. Hope sat between them on the bench, her small body warm against Anna's hip. Eli was in the wagon bed behind, curled on a folded saddle blanket, his thumb in his mouth, and his eyes wide open at the sky. Mr. Hartwell. Luke. Luke. She drew breath. We have a problem. We got several. He will check. He will ride to the parsonage. He will ask Reverend Goodall when we were married, and the Reverend will tell him we were not. I know it. Then we ride to the parsonage tonight. Her stomach dropped clean to the floorboards. Tonight. Before Crane gets there. Before sundown if the team holds. Luke, sir. I cannot. Miss Brennan. His voice was low and steady and tired in a way that had nothing to do with the day. I know what I am asking. I know what I asked at the station, and I know what I'm asking now. You said it on a platform in front of 2 armed men and a town busybody, and you said it because the alternative was Theodore Crane putting you in a carriage. I understand that. I will not hold you to it past tonight if you don't want to be held. But tonight, ma'am, we got to make it real, or you ain't safe, and my children ain't safe, and I ain't safe. She closed her eyes. How long is the ride? To my place, 2 hours. To the parsonage from there, another 40 minutes. Reverend Goodall keeps light past dark on Tuesdays for the women's prayer. Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, ma'am. The Lord arranges things. The Lord? Anna said, and a small broken laugh came out of her. The Lord? You don't believe in him. I did once. What changed? She did not answer for a long while. The wagon creaked. A meadowlark called somewhere out in the high grass. Hope's small hand found her glove again and held on. My husband, Anna said finally. And my boy. Luke did not look at her. A man of this country knew when not to look at a woman. How old? 14 months. He was 14 months. What was his name? Samuel. Miss Brennan. Anna. Anna. The word sat in his mouth like something he was unfamiliar with. I am sorry for your boy. And I for your wife. Mary. Mary. She died in the bed Eli was born in. I have not slept in that bed since. I sleep on the floor of the front room. I have been sleeping on the floor of the front room for 56 nights. Luke, I am telling you this because you ought to know what you are walking into, ma'am. There is a cabin at the end of this road. There is a bed in that cabin I cannot lie down in. There is a half-built room off the back I have not had the heart to finish. There is a milk cow gone dry, and a boy who does not speak, and a girl who asks me every night when her mama is coming home. I have been a poor steward of what God left me. I am telling you this so you can decide before the parsonage. Decide what? Whether you want to be the woman who agrees to a thing like this. Eyes open. Anna looked down at her gloves. The seams were worn at the thumbs. They had been worn at the thumbs for a year. Luke? Ma'am, my husband died at Cold Harbor in '64. My boy died 11 months later of a fever the doctors had 3 names for and no cure. My father-in-law took the farm because my husband's name was on the deed and mine was not. My own father is dead. My mother lives with my sister in Baltimore and has not written to me in 9 months because I would not marry the cousin she selected. I answered an advertisement in a Baltimore paper, Luke. I came west with a valise and $41 to marry a Christian widower of good standing, and the man who answered the advertisement turned out to be Theodore Crane. Anna. My eyes are open. They have been open for some time. He drove a long quarter-mile without speaking. The team's hooves were dull on the summer road. The grass either side stood tall enough to hide a man on horseback, and Anna found herself listening hard for any hoofbeat that was not the team's. Papa, Hope said. Yes, sweet pea. Is Miss Anna going to sleep in our house tonight? Yes, Hope. In Mama's bed. Luke's hands tightened on the reins. We'll work that out, sweet pea. I want her to sleep in Mama's bed. Hope. Mama said somebody had to. The little girl turned her face up to Anna's. Before she got the bad sick. She told me. She said, Hope, when I'm gone, you tell Papa to find someone good and put her in my bed because a bed gets lonesome. She said that. I'm not telling a story. Anna could not draw breath. Luke's face had gone white under the sunburn. Hope, he said very softly. When did Mama tell you that, sweet pea? The morning she got sick. She braided my hair. She said it. You never told me, baby. I forgot. Until just now I forgot. Luke pulled the team up. He did not stop the wagon completely, just slowed. He bowed his head over the reins and his shoulders moved once hard like a man taking a blow he had been bracing for in the wrong place. Anna laid her hand on his wrist without thinking. He did not pull away. Drive on, she said quietly. Yeah. Drive on, Luke. Yeah. Yeah, all right. He clicked to the team. The wagon rolled. Behind them in the bed of the wagon, Eli's thumb came out of his mouth. Anna heard the small sound of it. She did not turn her head because she had learned in her own grieving years that a child who is doing a brave new thing should not be watched. Papa, Eli whispered. It was the first word Luke Hartwell had heard from his son in 56 days. His hands shook on the reins. Yes, son. Hungry. All right, son, all right. We'll be home soon. Miss Anna's gonna fix you something when we get home. Ain't that right, Miss Anna? That's right. Anna's voice came out steady somehow, though nothing in her felt steady. That's exactly right, Eli. What do you like to eat, sweet boy? A long silence. Then, very small, biscuits. Then biscuits it is. The wagon rolled on. The sun was lowering behind the western ridges. Anna Brennan, who had not been called upon to make a child a biscuit, in 5 years found herself praying for the first time in 5 years that she would remember how. They came around a bend, and Luke's hand went to the rifle butt in the wagon box. Easy. A rider was sitting his horse in the middle of the road. He was old, whip-thin, white-bearded. His coat was dust-pale, and his hat was older than Anna. He raised one hand in a gesture that was not quite a greeting and not quite a stop. Hartwell. Mr. Pearson? Heard you got married. Luke said nothing. Word travels fast in this country, Pearson said. He looked at Anna without looking at her hard. Ma'am. Sir. I won't keep you. Crane's men passed me 20 minutes ago. 2 of them, riding hard, North Fork. The breath left Anna's body. North Fork, Luke repeated. Toward your place, Luke. Obliged, Mr. Pearson? You got a long ride ahead of you to the parsonage, son. Yes, sir. You take the creek trail, the low one, past my south pasture. Don't take the road. The road's watched. I will. And Hartwell. Sir. The old man's eyes were the color of a sky going to weather. Your daddy was a good man. Your mama was a better one. You were raised by people who didn't truck with Crane and didn't truck with his kind, and the country knows it. There's more on your side than you reckon. Luke could not answer for a moment. Thank you, sir. Get them children out of sight. Ride hard. Godspeed. The old man touched his hat to Anna, did not wait for an answer, reined his horse off the road, and was gone into the high grass. The wagon began moving again before Anna realized Luke had clicked to the team. Luke? They're going to my cabin. I heard. They will not find me there. They will look. They will not find me because we are not going to the cabin first. We are going straight to the parsonage. Hope. Eli. Listen to your papa. We're gonna take a different road. We're gonna ride a little fast. You hold on, you hear? Yes, Papa. Eli, hold on, son. A small voice from the wagon bed. Papa. Yes, son. Don't let the bad men come. I won't, son. I won't. Anna closed her eyes for the length of one heartbeat. Luke? Anna. Drive. He drove. The wagon left the main road at a crooked oak with a broken limb, and the team went down a track. Anna would not have called a track if a man had pointed at it and named it one. Branches dragged at the canvas. A jackrabbit broke from the brush, and Hope flinched, and Anna pulled the child against her ribs and held her there. Luke's jaw was a hard line. He did not speak. The team was lathered before they had gone a mile. How far? Anna said. 40 minutes the long way. 20 this way if the creek crossing ain't washed. And if it is, then we ford it anyway, and pray the wheels hold. The wagon hit a rut, and Anna's teeth clacked together, and Hope cried out, and Luke said low and hard, Sorry, Sweet Pea. Sorry, Sweet Pea, hang on. Papa, the box is bouncing. I know it. Hang on. Papa, Miss Anna's bag is gonna fall. Anna twisted in the seat. The valise had slid. She caught it with one boot and dragged it back, and the wagon hit another rut, and her shoulders slammed the bench, and she bit her tongue hard enough to taste copper. Anna, you all right? Drive, Luke. You all right? Drive. He drove. The creek was running, but not high. The team plunged through, and the wagon lurched, and water came up over the floorboards, and Eli laughed once, a short, startled, perfect child's laugh, and the sound of it nearly stopped Anna's heart in her chest. Luke heard it too. His face did not change, but his hands on the reins changed. They got steadier. The way a man's hands steady when something he had given up on has come back to him a little. They came up the far bank, and the parsonage sat at the top of the rise. Small white-painted a pole fence, and a swayback mule in a paddock, and lamplight, thank God, in the front window. A horse was tied at the rail. A horse Luke knew. He pulled up hard. Whose? Anna said. Crane's foreman, the tall one, McRae. He's already here. He's already here. Luke. Stay in the wagon. Luke, no. Stay in the wagon, Anna. Take the rifle. If you hear me holler, you turn this team and you ride for the Pearson place, and you tell the old man what happened. You hear me. You hear me. I hear you, but I'm not staying in the wagon. Anna. He came to the parsonage to make the Reverend tell him a thing. He will not tell that thing if I am standing in the room. Do you understand? He understood. She saw it cross his face like weather. Hope? Eli, stay flat. Stay in the wagon bed and don't either of you make a peep till Papa comes back. You promise me. Promise, Papa. Eli. A pause. Then, promise. Luke handed Anna down from the bench. They walked toward the parsonage door together. Luke's left hand was free. His right hand rested easy on his belt, where a man's hand rested when he wanted another man to see where it was. The door opened before they reached it. Reverend Goodall was a small man, balding, kind-eyed, in shirt sleeves rolled to the elbow. He took one look at them and said very calmly, Mr. Hartwell, Mrs. Hartwell, I have been expecting you. Anna's knees almost gave out. Reverend, step inside, please, both of you. A taller man stood behind the Reverend, hat in his hands, black coat, sun-leathered face, empty pale eyes. Hartwell, McRae said. McRae, Reverend tells me you and the missus rode out here to settle the registry. He says he married you Sunday a week. Says it slipped his mind to enter it in the book on account of the Henson baby's funeral. That so, Reverend? That is so, Mr. Hartwell. The Reverend's voice was mild as milk. I am a forgetful man, McRae. I have told Mr. Crane this before. I have asked his patience. Mr. Crane ain't a patient man, Reverend. I am aware. He's gonna want to see the entry. Then you may tell him it will be entered tonight, before the Lord and these witnesses, as ought to have been done a week ago. I am a poor record-keeper, McRae, but I am not a liar. The Reverend turned his small, kind eyes on McRae and did not blink. Do you accuse me of being a liar, son? McRae's jaw worked. No, sir. Then I will trouble you to wait outside while I attend to my book. Mr. Crane said, You may tell Mr. Crane that I will see him in church on Sunday and will be pleased to discuss any matter of conscience he has in front of the congregation where matters of conscience belong. Good evening, McRae. The tall man stood very still for a moment. He looked at Luke. He looked at Anna. He looked last and longest at the Reverend. Then he put his hat on. Evening, Reverend. Evening, son. He walked out. He swung up on his horse. He rode south toward Crane's land at a hard trot. The Reverend closed the door behind him and leaned his forehead against it for one long moment. Lord, forgive me, he said quietly. But that man was going to hurt somebody tonight if I didn't lie. Reverend, Luke began. Don't. The small man turned. His kind eyes were wet. Don't thank me. I have been waiting 2 years for the courage to lie to one of Crane's men, Luke Hartwell. I am ashamed it took a young woman in danger to find it. Anna pressed both gloved hands to her mouth. You will marry us tonight, Reverend. I will marry you in the next 10 minutes, child, because I have just told a man before the Lord that I already did, and I will not be a liar before God past supper time. Do you understand me? Where are the children? In the wagon. Bring them in. They will witness. A wedding wants witnesses. Luke went out. He came back with Eli on his hip and Hope clinging to his free hand. The little girl's eyes were enormous. The boy was awake and looking, and his thumb was nowhere near his mouth. Hope, Eli, this is Reverend Goodall. He's going to say some words for Papa and Miss Anna. You stand right there and you hold Miss Anna's hand. Both of you. You hear? Yes, Papa. The Reverend opened his book. He did not have time for ceremony. He had the words, and he said them plain. Anna heard her own name come out of her own mouth. She heard Luke say his. She heard the Reverend say man and wife. And she heard Hope very small whisper, Mama at the floor. And she heard Luke's breath catch hard, and heard nothing at all for several seconds after that, because her ears had gone hollow with the pounding of her own blood. The Reverend wrote in the book. He blotted the entry. He turned the book around and pushed it across the table. Sign there, Mrs. Hartwell. She signed. She had not signed her own name in 14 months. She wrote it slow. She wrote it whole. Anna Brennan Hartwell. The ink was still wet when hooves sounded outside. More than one rider. Coming hard. The Reverend looked up sharply. Luke's hand went to his hip. How many? Anna whispered. 3 at least, Luke said. Crane. Reckon we're about to find out. A fist hit the parsonage door. Hard. Twice. A man's voice on the other side that Anna had heard once before that day on a station platform. Reverend Goodall. Open this door. Theodore Crane. Luke stepped between Anna and the door without seeming to move at all. Reverend, he said quietly, you done a brave thing tonight. Don't do another one. Open it. Stand aside, and let me speak. The Reverend's hand was on the latch. He looked at Anna. Anna nodded once. The latch lifted. The door swung in, and Theodore Crane filled it. He was alone on the threshold. The 2 riders behind him stayed mounted in the dooryard, both with their hands resting easy on their saddle horns, where a man could see them, which in this country was a kind of threat all its own. Mr. Crane, said the Reverend. Reverend Goodall. Crane did not take off his hat. I am told by my foreman that you have entered a marriage in your registry that did not occur. You are told wrong, sir. Am I? You are. Crane looked past the Reverend. He looked at Luke. He looked at Anna. He looked at the open book on the table, the ink still glossing wet under the lamp. He smiled. That ink is fresh, Reverend. I blotted it just now, Mr. Crane. The entry was made a week ago Sunday. The blotting is from my poor record-keeping. I have been chastised for it before. By whom? By my own conscience, sir, which is a stricter master than you. Anna felt Luke's shoulder shift in front of her, just a fraction. The hand near his belt did not move at all. Hartwell. Crane. You have stolen my bride. I have married a woman who told me on a public platform she had no intention of going up your road. I reckon a woman is allowed to change her mind. I reckon the law agrees. You have cost me $140 of advance. My wife will repay you. Your wife. Crane tested the word like a coin he suspected. Your wife of 1 week, Hartwell. My wife of 1 week. And the Reverend will swear to it. I have sworn to it, said the Reverend. Before God and before McRae, who you sent here for that purpose. Twice now, sir. I will not swear to it a third time. You are in my parsonage. There are children present. I will ask you to mind your hat and your tongue. Crane did not take his hat off, but he did not press. He looked instead at Anna. Mrs. Hartwell. Mr. Crane? I will repeat my offer of repayment. You owe me $140, ma'am. I will give you 90 days. Mr. Crane, I will pay you in 90 days, Mrs. Hartwell, cash, or the equivalent in property. I am a businessman. A debt is a debt. Crane, Luke said. She'll pay you in 30. Anna's head turned sharp. 30, Crane said. The smile widened a hair. How interesting, Hartwell. You have $30 on hand. I have a herd, Crane. I have 80 acres. I have the means. Then I will look for your wife's money in 30 days. To the dollar. He touched the brim of his hat at last, but only to Anna, and only with his fingertips. Mrs. Hartwell, ma'am, I wish you joy of your husband. I do hope the bloom does not come off too soon. I have known Mr. Hartwell some years, and I have observed that the people who attach themselves to him have a habit of being buried young. Anna's hand closed around a fold of her skirt. Get out of this parsonage, Mr. Crane. She had not meant to speak. The words came up out of her clean and hot. Mrs. Hartwell, get out. Her voice did not shake. She was as surprised as he was. You will have your money in 30 days. You will not stand in a house of God and threaten my husband. Get out. For one held breath, Theodore Crane's smile was not a smile. It was a thing. Then he laughed. Oh, Hartwell. Oh, sir. You have gotten yourself a spirited one. Go, Crane. 30 days, ma'am. He turned. He walked out. He swung up onto his horse. The three riders went down the road south at a leisurely walk, as if to demonstrate to anyone watching that they had not been driven, that they had merely concluded a polite call. The Reverend shut the door. He set his forehead against it for the second time that night. Reverend. A moment, child. Just a moment. The Lord and I have business. Anna put one gloved hand over her mouth and discovered she was shaking. Luke caught her elbow and put her into the chair by the table without making any production of it. Hope crept under Anna's free arm and stayed there. Eli, on Luke's hip, had not made a sound during any of it, but he was awake, and his small fist was knotted in the fabric of his father's shirt. 30 days, Anna said. Her voice was thin. Luke, you said 30. I know what I said. You don't have it. I will have it. How? I will sell the bay. The bay is your saddle horse. It's an animal, Anna. It's worth $40 to a man in Cheyenne who's been after me to sell it for 2 years. I'll get the rest from the calves. There's 8 head ready for market. 8 head won't bring $100 in summer. He looked at her. You know cattle, Mrs. Hartwell. I grew up on a farm in Frederick, Mr. Hartwell. I know cattle. He almost smiled. It was the closest his face had come to it all day. Then we will figure the books together when we get home. You can tell me how poor I am with more authority than I can tell myself." The Reverend was at the table now, blotting the entry once more, slow and careful, his small hands not quite steady. "You will not stay here tonight," he said without looking up. "I cannot offer it. He will be back. Probably not with hands. Probably with a paper from the county clerk. He has the clerk in his pocket, and we have known it 3 years and done nothing about it. You ride home. You go in by the back trace. You do not go past the main road tonight. Tomorrow, Luke Hartwell, you ride to Bozeman, and you wire your cousin in St. Louis. And you tell him every word of what has happened tonight, and you put it in writing, and you have a copy of it sent to the Territorial Marshal at Fort Benton. Do you hear me?" "Yes, sir." "Begin a record. A record is what protects the living from men like Crane." "Yes, sir." "Anna." The Reverend turned his kind, tired face on her. "Daughter." "Sir. You have done a brave thing tonight. Bravery is not a thing the Lord asks for free. There will be a cost. I want you to know that I know it. I want you to know that you are not alone in this country." Anna's eyes filled. "Thank you, Reverend." "Go home, feed your children, sleep if you can." They went out. Luke lifted Hope into the wagon bed beside Eli and put a quilt over both of them, and Hope said, "Papa, I'm not tired." And Luke said, "I know it, sweet pea, but you lie down anyway." And Hope lay down without arguing because she had grown up enough in one afternoon to do as her father asked without questions. Eli's small hand crept across the quilt and found his sister's. They held on. Anna climbed up onto the bench. Her own legs were not steady. Luke offered his hand without making her ask. She took it. The team turned. The wagon went down the back trace slow this time because the moon was up and the team was tired and there was no one chasing them, only a cold, knowing in Anna Brennan's stomach that someone soon would be. They did not speak for a mile. Then Luke said low, "Anna." "Yes." "You meant that. In the parsonage, when you told him to get out. I meant it. You don't strike me as a woman who hollers." "I am not." "Then I am obliged to you for hollering on my behalf." "I did not holler on your behalf. Luke Hartwell. I hollered because that man stood in a house of God and wished my husband dead in front of my husband's children." A silence. "Your husband," he said. "You signed the book, sir." "I signed the book. Then I will use the word." He drove a long quarter-mile without answering. "Anna." "Luke, I cannot promise you a year." "No man can promise a year." "I cannot promise you tomorrow." "I am aware." "I can promise you that while there is breath in me, you will not go up Crane's Road." She did not trust herself to speak for a moment. Then she said, "And I will promise you that while there is breath in me, your children will eat and sleep warm and hear a woman say their names with kindness. That is what I can promise tonight, Luke. It is not nothing." "It is not nothing. It is not love." "I did not ask for love. Anna, I want you to know that. I will not ask for love. I asked for a mother for my twins, and you gave me more than I asked for already. And if love comes," Anna said quietly, "we will treat it like a guest. We will not chase it, and we will not turn it away." He did not answer. He did not need to. The cabin came up in the moonlight at the bottom of a long swale sitting tucked under a stand of cottonwoods, and at the sight of it, Hope sat up under the quilt and said, "Home, Papa, home." And Eli sat up beside her, and for the first time that day, Anna Brennan saw the place she had married. It was small, honestly small. A pole barn off to the side, a milk shed, a chicken coop that had been built by a man who knew his business but did not have time for finish work. A garden patch gone half to weeds. A length of stove wood stacked against the south wall, neat enough to show that the man of the place had not given up on every chore, even after his wife died. A lamp burned in the front window. Anna's whole body went still. "Luke, I see it. You left a lamp burning. I did not leave a lamp burning." His hand was on the rifle before the wagon had stopped rolling. "Anna, Stay on the wagon. Children, stay on the wagon. Luke, stay on the wagon. He swung down. He went to the cabin door at a low, fast crouch, the rifle up. He set his shoulder to the wall beside the door. He listened. He nudged the door with his boot heel, and it opened easy on its hinges. Light spilled out. A voice inside said, "Lord above, Luke Hartwell, point that thing somewhere else before I take it from you and switch you with it." Anna nearly cried out from sheer relief. A woman stepped into the doorway. She was 60 if she was a day. Iron gray hair pinned up tight, an apron over a black dress, a wooden spoon in one hand like a weapon. Her face was the face of a woman who had not been afraid of anything in 40 years, and was not about to start. "Mrs. Tate," Luke said. He lowered the rifle. He looked for one long moment like a boy who had been caught running in the parlor. "Get in here, Luke. Get those children in here. They've not had a hot meal today, I'll wager, and I have soup on and biscuits coming up, and I have changed every sheet in this house and aired the front room and beat the rugs, and I am not in a humor to be argued with. Get in here, all of you." "Mrs. Tate, ma'am, this is—" "I know who she is, son. The whole county knows who she is by now. McRae rode past my place at a gallop 2 hours ago, and Crane's outfit followed him an hour after that, and a man in this country don't ride hard at sundown for nothing. I came over the back way as soon as I figured what was what. Get in. You are letting in moths." Luke stepped aside. He gestured Anna in. Anna climbed down on legs that were not entirely her own, and walked into the cabin she had married. It was small. 2 rooms, a loft up under the roof beams, a stone hearth, a table scrubbed pale, a rocking chair with a child's blanket folded over the arm. A door closed that Anna understood without being told led to the bedroom Luke had not slept in for 56 nights. It smelled of beef broth and wood smoke and lye soap. Mrs. Tate had been busy. "Sit down, child." "Ma'am, sit. Hope Sweet Pea come give Auntie a kiss. Eli come here, baby boy. Look at you. Look at this baby. You have lost weight, Eli Hartwell. Don't think I can't see it. Sit at the table, all of you. Luke, wash your hands. Anna." The old woman turned. Her sharp eyes softened by exactly the width of a hair. "I do not know you, daughter, but I knew Mary Hartwell from the day she was born to the day she was buried, and I have prayed every morning for 56 mornings that whoever came after her would be a woman with a strong back and a soft heart, and it appears the Lord has answered me. Sit at this table, eat my soup. We will speak of the rest tomorrow." Anna sat. She did not say thank you. She could not. The word would have come out as a sob, and she could not let the children see her sob, not on the first night, not in the kitchen Mary Hartwell had cooked in. She sat. She ate. The soup was hot, and there was salt pork in it, and onions and good potatoes, and Mrs. Tate's biscuits were the kind that cracked open, clean in a man's hand, and Eli ate 2 of them, and asked in a small voice for a third. And Luke, who was sitting opposite Anna with his sleeves rolled to the elbows, and his hair still damp at the temples from washing, looked at his son and could not speak for a moment. "Eli." "Papa?" "You want a third biscuit, son?" "Yes, Papa." "Mrs. Tate, would you? Already buttered, son." She said it in front of the boy. She turned her face away while she did it, and Anna saw the old woman's mouth pull tight, and Anna understood that Mrs. Tate had been carrying a piece of this grief too, and was setting it down a little here tonight at this table. When the soup was gone and the biscuits were gone, and hope had begun to droop against Anna's shoulder, Mrs. Tate said briskly, "I have made up the bed in the front room. Fresh. The children's loft is aired. There are clean nightshirts for the babies in the bottom of the cedar chest, where they have always been, Luke, as I expect you remembered." I remembered Mrs. Tate. "I will sleep on the kitchen settle tonight. No, Luke, I will not be argued with. There has been a man at this door tonight who does not wish you well, and there will be no woman in this house alone with 2 babies until I am satisfied of her safety, and I am not yet satisfied. I will go home tomorrow. Mrs. Tate, ma'am." "You are welcome, son. Now go put your children to bed." "Anna." The sharp eyes turned. "Daughter, come with me a moment." Anna stood. Her legs held this time. The old woman led her to the closed door of the bedroom. She opened it. The room was small. A bed made up fresh. A small chest. A window with a curtain Mrs. Tate had clearly pressed that afternoon. A wooden cross above the headboard. A folded quilt at the foot of the bed in a pattern of wedding rings. "This was Mary's room," Mrs. Tate said quietly. "Yes, ma'am. I have prepared it for you." "Mrs. Tate, I cannot—" "Listen, daughter." Anna listened. "Mary Hartwell," the old woman said, "told me 3 days before she died that she did not want this bed to stand cold. She told me, nobody else. She told me because she was afraid Luke would not let it go. She said, 'Maud, when I'm gone, you find that boy a good woman, and you put her in my bed, and you tell her from me that the bed was made by a man who loved hard, and that's the best a woman can hope for in this world.' She said that. I am not telling you a story." Anna could not see for tears. "Hope said the same thing," she whispered. "On the wagon." "Did she now?" "This afternoon. The same words near enough." The old woman's mouth trembled just once. "Then it appears," she said, "that Mary Hartwell told the only 2 souls in this house who were going to need to hear it. I leave you to it, daughter. Sleep tonight. Tomorrow there is work." She left. She closed the door behind her. Anna Brennan Hartwell stood alone for the first time that day, in a room that had belonged to a woman she would never meet on a night she had married a stranger on a railway platform in front of God and a man who wished her dead. And she put her hands over her face and wept without making any sound at all, because there were children in the loft above her who had heard enough crying for one season. When she lifted her face, the lamp was guttering. She crossed to the bed. She laid one gloved hand on the wedding ring quilt. "Mary Hartwell," she said quietly to the dark room, "if you can hear me, ma'am, I will love them. I do not know how yet. I will learn. I swear it on what is left of me." She turned down the lamp. She lay down on top of the quilt without undressing, because she did not have the heart to take Mary Hartwell's place under it on the first night. She slept. She did not hear an hour later the soft tread of Luke Hartwell coming barefoot to the bedroom door. She did not hear him stand in the dark with his hand raised to knock and lower it again. She did not hear him whisper to no one, to Mary, to God, to whoever was listening, "Thank you." She did not hear him walk away and lie down on the floor of the front room where he had slept for 56 nights, because the man was not yet ready to lie down in any other place, and because a promise to a dying wife is a thing a man honors slow in his own time, in his own grief, in his own way. What Anna heard just before sleep took her was the very small sound of a child climbing down from the loft. Hope. The little girl pushed open the bedroom door without asking. She crossed the floor. She stood at the side of the bed. Her braid was undone. Her eyes were huge in the dimness. "Miss Anna." "Hope." "Can I sleep here?" Anna lifted the edge of the quilt without a word. The child climbed up. She fitted herself against Anna's shoulder like a piece that had been missing from a puzzle for 56 nights. She laid her small palm flat against Anna's collarbone. "Mama," she said, "just the once." Then she slept. Anna did not sleep again that night. She lay with one arm around Mary Hartwell's daughter and listened to the cabin breathe, to Eli turning in the loft, to Luke's slow breath on the front room floor, to Mrs. Tate's iron snore from the kitchen settle, to a coyote yipping somewhere out past the cottonwoods, and a screech owl answering it from the barn, and Anna Brennan Hartwell, who that morning had been a widow with $41 to her name, and no people in the world looked at the dark ceiling of a stranger's bedroom and understood with the kind of cold clarity that comes only at 3 a.m. that she had 30 days to find $140 and a way to keep these people alive, and that the man who had given her 30 days was at this very hour sitting in a parlor not 5 miles south, drinking and thinking and beginning to plan. Anna woke to the smell of bacon and to a small hand still tucked against her collarbone, and for one lost half-second, she did not know where she was or whose breath was warm on her throat, or why the sun was coming through a curtain she had never pressed. Then she remembered everything. Hope stirred. "Mama." "Right here, sweet pea." "You stayed." "I stayed." The little girl burrowed in deeper. "I knew." Mrs. Tate's voice came from the kitchen, sharp and clean. "Anna Hartwell." Get up out of that bed and put a hot breakfast in your husband before he rides to Bozeman, or I will speak to you about it for the rest of the morning, daughter. Coming, Mrs. Tate? I am calling you Maud. Mrs. Tate is for the bank teller. Come on, child. The bacon is going past. Anna eased Hope onto the pillow. The little girl did not wake again. Anna stood. She had slept in her traveling dress, and her hair had come down on one side, and she did not have time for any of it. And Maud Tate, when Anna walked into the kitchen, took one look at her and said, "Sit. I will plait you up after he leaves. Eat first." Luke was at the table. His bedroll was out by the door, saddlebags packed, the bay's bridle laid over the bench. He stood when Anna came in. He did not make a thing of it. He just stood. "Morning, Anna." "Morning, Luke. You sleep any?" "Some." "Hope, with me. She came down in the night." His hand on the chair back tightened. He did not say anything for a moment. He sat back down. He pushed the plate of bacon toward her without looking up. "Mrs. Tate has been telling me what she's been telling me." "What is she telling you?" "That I am to ride straight to Bozeman, sell the bay to a man named Halloran for not less than $45. Wire my cousin John in St. Louis, send a copy of the wire to the territorial marshal at Fort Benton, and come back before sundown by way of the Pearson place, so Mr. Pearson can ride the last hour with me, because she does not trust the road after dark, while Crane is in this humor." "That sounds wise." "She also says that she is not leaving you alone in this cabin today, even if I ask her to." "I would not ask her to," Anna said. Maud snorted from the stove. "He was about to. Good morning, Eli, sweet baby boy. Come here. Auntie has biscuits." Eli had come down the loft ladder so quietly, Anna had not heard him. He crossed the kitchen in his small bare feet and went straight to Anna. He laid his head against her shoulder. He did not speak. Anna laid her cheek against the crown of his head and closed her eyes. When she opened them, Luke was looking at the two of them, and she could not for a second read what was on his face. He looked away before she could. "I'd best ride." "Luke." "Anna. Be careful." "I am always careful." "Be more careful than that." His mouth pulled at one corner. "Yes, ma'am." He stood. He shrugged into his coat. He went to the loft ladder and called up softly, "Hope. Sweet pea. Papa's going to town. Come kiss me." Hope came down, rubbing her eyes, and Luke crouched and held her a long time longer than a man who was only riding to Bozeman would hold a child, and Anna saw Maud Tate turn her face to the stove and stay turned that way until the moment had passed. Luke straightened. He looked at Anna. He opened his mouth. He closed it. "Go on, son," Maud said gently. "Whatever it is, it'll keep till sundown." He nodded. He went. The cabin was quiet for a long beat after the bay's hooves had faded down the road. Then Maud said brisk, "All right, sit, eat. We will talk while there is no man to interrupt us, because a man cannot abide women talking, and they always interrupt." Anna sat. She ate. Eli ate beside her, and Hope climbed onto the bench on her other side, and Maud Tate set a plate down for herself across the table and folded her work-worn hands and looked Anna straight in the eye. "I will tell you what you have walked into, daughter. You will not like all of it. You will hear it anyway." "Yes, ma'am. Theodore Crane come to this country 8 years ago with money from St. Louis and a deed to a piece of land that was already deeded to a man named Pearson. You met Mr. Pearson on the road yesterday. Crane took him to court. Crane won the court because the judge was a cousin of his by marriage and is no longer a judge, but is still a cousin. Pearson lost the south half of his ranch. Crane has done this 6 times in 8 years. Sometimes he wins. Sometimes the man dies before the case is settled. There is a pattern, daughter, and the pattern is always the same. A pattern of what? A pattern of paper. Crane does not need to win. He needs the case to drag on while the rancher cannot get a loan against his land. The bank in Bozeman will not lend on disputed land. Crane is on the board of the bank. You are following me, daughter." "I am following. Crane has wanted Luke's south pasture 3 years. There is a creek on it that runs all summer. There is no other creek between here and Crane's north line that runs all summer. Crane has offered to buy. Luke has declined. Crane has offered again. Luke has declined again. Last Christmas, Crane offered for the third time. Luke spit on the offer in front of 2 witnesses. Mrs. Tate. Maud. Maud. Why did Crane choose me? Why send for a bride from Baltimore? Maud's mouth tightened. Because the last 2 went into the ground inside 3 years. Because the women in this country will not have him. Because a stranger from a far city does not know what is here until she is already here. And because daughter, a man like Crane needs a wife not for company, but for the look of the thing. A man with 2 dead wives ain't elected to a territorial seat. A man with a young pretty bride from a Christian family in Baltimore, that man can run for any office he chooses. He is running for office. He has filed papers with the territory. He intends to sit in the legislature in Helena come January. He needs a respectable wife by Christmas. You were the wife. You are not the wife. He is humiliated. He is not a man who endures humiliation. Anna set down her fork. She could not eat. Maud. Speak, daughter. He does not want $140. No, daughter, he does not. He wants the south pasture. He wants the south pasture, the cabin, and Luke Hartwell put in the ground for the embarrassment of the railroad station. In about that order. The $140 is a leash, daughter. You owe him money. The law says you must answer for it. The answer can be made in property if you have not got the cash. He will come for the cash on day 30, knowing very well you do not have it, and he will offer to take the south pasture instead. And if Luke refuses, then there is a court case. And while there is a court case, the bank in Bozeman will not lend. And while the bank will not lend, Luke cannot pay the cattle drovers. And then comes the foreclosure. Daughter, this is how it is done. I have seen it done. Anna sat very still. Then she said, He has chosen the wrong woman. Maud's eyebrows went up. Has he, daughter? My father-in-law took my farm in Frederick the same way, with paper. He did not have the leverage Crane has, but he had a will and a clerk and a judge. I lost the farm because I did not know what I was doing. I will not lose this one because I do not know what I am doing. I lost it last time. I learned. You know land law. I have read every page of my husband's deed. I have read every page of the will my father-in-law wrote. I have read every page of the Territorial Code of Maryland on widows' rights. I did not save the farm, but I know what could have saved it. Maud Tate looked at Anna for a long, long moment. Then she said quiet, Daughter, the Lord has his ways. A horse came up the road. Maud was on her feet before Anna heard it. She had a rifle off the wall and was at the window in 3 strides. Easy, it's Pearson. The old man sat his horse in the dooryard and called, Maud, Mrs. Hartwell, may I come to the porch? Come on, you old fool, don't make a woman holler. He came. He did not come in. He stood on the porch with his hat in his hand. His face was the color it had been the day before, but his eyes were not. Crane was at the bank an hour after open this morning. And he has filed a paper. What paper? A paper claiming the South Pasture Survey is in error, claiming the original deed mislocated the southern boundary by some 400 yards, claiming the disputed strip, which is about every yard of bottomland on Hartwell's place, is unowned territory and ought to be auctioned by the county. Anna's hand went flat on the table. Auctioned. Auctioned, ma'am, by Theodore Crane's cousin, the county clerk, to Theodore Crane. When? 60 days. 60 days from this morning. Maud Tate said a word a Christian woman did not say. Mr. Pearson, Anna said. Her voice was level. She did not know how. Does this happen often? It has happened to me. It has happened to McAllister. It has happened to a man named Drury, who is buried on the hill behind my place because he could not make himself eat for a year after. And the paper, where is it filed? In the county registry in Bozeman, public record. And is there a copy of the original survey? The old man went very still. Ma'am, there must be a copy of the original survey. The land was deeded to Mr. Hartwell's father, was it not? It was, by the Federal Land Office, in '67. Then the federal land office in Helena will have the original survey on file. The county can file any paper it wishes. The federal record is the federal record. Have you ever applied to Helena for a copy of an original survey, Mr. Pearson? No, ma'am. I did not know it was a thing a man could do. It is a thing a man can do. It is a thing a woman can do. It costs $3 and a properly notarized request. I will write it tonight. Pearson's hat hung loose in his hand. Mrs. Hartwell. Sir? I have lost half my ranch over 12 years to a man who told me there was no help to be had. There is help to be had, Mr. Pearson. There has always been help to be had. The men who told you otherwise were the men you needed help against. The old man's eyes filled. He did not let it show past that. Yes, ma'am. Will you carry a letter for me to Bozeman tomorrow? I will carry 10 letters, ma'am. One will do. Yes, ma'am. He put his hat on. He went down the porch steps. He swung up. He rode. Maud Tate said conversationally, Daughter, I take back every doubt I had about you, which I will admit to having had 3 of, and I will not have any further ones. Maud. Hush, riders. 3 horses on the road, then 4, then 6. A wagon behind them. Anna stood. The churchwomen, Maud said. Lord help us. Mrs. Whitlock. Mrs. Whitlock and the Tuesday Circle. Daughter. Listen to me. They are coming to look you over. Some of them will want to like you. Some will not. Mrs. Whitlock will not. You are not to lie. You are not to apologize. You are the lady of this house, daughter. You have been the lady of this house since the moment that little girl in there called you Mama. Do you hear me? I hear you. Then put your shoulders back and go to the door. Anna went to the door. She opened it before they could knock. Mrs. Whitlock was a tall woman in a stiff bombazine traveling dress. Behind her stood 5 other women and a wagon and a basket of bread that one of the younger women was holding, as if she did not know whether she was meant to put it down. Mrs. Hartwell. Mrs. Whitlock. Ladies, will you come in? We will not come in. We are come to satisfy ourselves. Of what, ma'am? Of the matter of the marriage, Mrs. Hartwell. Anna folded her hands in front of her at the waist. Her grandmother had taught her to do that 38 years ago, and she had never been more grateful. The Reverend Goodall has the entry in his book, ma'am. The entry is dated Sunday week. You may consult him on Sunday. I have nothing to add. Mrs. Hartwell, I will speak plain. Please do. There was no wedding in this county Sunday week. I was at the parsonage Sunday week. There was no wedding. Mrs. Whitlock, Maud began from inside. Maud Tate, I am speaking to Mrs. Hartwell. You are speaking to Mrs. Hartwell on Mrs. Hartwell's porch, Eliza Whitlock, and you will mind whose porch it is. Maud. Anna, I will speak when I please. Anna lifted one gloved hand gently, and Maud Tate miraculously hushed. Mrs. Whitlock. Mrs. Hartwell. You believe I have lied to you. I believe a lie has been told. By whom? That is what we have come to determine. Then I will tell you what I will tell you. I will tell you that I am the wife of Luke Hartwell, that I will be the mother of his children for as long as the Lord permits, and that the Reverend Goodall has signed and entered a paper to that effect, and that you may speak to him about his record-keeping if you wish to. I will not stand on this porch and discuss the dating of my marriage with 6 women I do not know in front of the children of the man I have married. If you have come to break bread, ma'am, my door is open. If you have come to gather information for Theodore Crane, the road runs both ways. There was a sound from the women behind Mrs. Whitlock, a small sound, from the youngest one, holding the bread basket. It was a sound that was almost a laugh and almost a sob. Mrs. Whitlock turned her head sharp. Sarah? Yes, Mrs. Whitlock. Did you have something to say? No, Mrs. Whitlock. Then control yourself. Anna's eyes for one heartbeat met the eyes of the young woman with the bread. The young woman looked away, but not before Anna had seen it. Anna had buried a child. Anna knew the look of a woman who had buried somebody too. Ladies, Anna said, her voice quiet now, the edge gone out of it. It is hot. There is water in the cistern. There is shade on the porch. I will not stand on ceremony if you will not. Mrs. Whitlock, you may inspect anything in this house you wish to. The cradle is empty because the child sleeping in it for 56 nights was Eli, and Eli is now eating biscuits with my mother-in-law in the kitchen, and you may meet him if it would ease your mind. A silence. Mrs. Whitlock's mouth worked. I will take the water, she said at last. I will not come in. As you prefer, ma'am. Maud brought a pitcher and tin cups. The women drank on the porch, like a parish council that had forgotten what it had come for. Mrs. Whitlock did not drink. Mrs. Whitlock stood at the porch rail and stared at the cottonwoods, and did not speak. The youngest one, Sarah, set the bread basket down on the bench. She did not look at Anna while she did it. She set it down and stepped back. Mrs. Hartwell, Mrs. Whitlock said finally. Ma'am. I will be in church on Sunday. I will speak to the Reverend. You will be welcome. If there is no entry in his book, there is an entry in his book, Mrs. Whitlock. The older woman's jaw worked once. Good day, Mrs. Hartwell. Good day, Mrs. Whitlock. Ladies. They went to the wagon. They climbed in. The wagon rolled. The young woman Sarah did not climb in. She stood in the dooryard with her hands at her sides and watched the wagon go. Then she turned. She walked back to the porch. She came up the steps. She stopped in front of Anna. Mrs. Hartwell? Yes. My sister? Yes. My sister was Theodore Crane's second wife. Maud Tate behind Anna made a small sound. My sister did not have a weakness of the heart, Mrs. Hartwell. My sister was 22 years of age and could outwalk me on a Sunday. I packed her body for burial. There were marks on her throat. There were marks on her arms. The doctor who came was paid by Mr. Crane, and the doctor wrote what he was told to write. Anna could not speak. I have never said this to a living soul in this county, ma'am. I have been afraid for 3 years. I am afraid this minute. I am telling you because you stood up to that man on a railway platform yesterday afternoon, and I have not slept since I heard, and I came here today, not to inspect you, but to look you in the eye. If a court ever sits on Theodore Crane, ma'am, if there is ever a hearing in which it would do good for me to speak, you send for me. Sarah Day. The boarding house in town. You send for me, Mrs. Hartwell, and I will come. Sarah. I have to go now. The wagon is waiting and Mrs. Whitlock is watching. Sarah. Wait. Anna took the young woman's hand. She did not let go for a long moment. Thank you, Sarah Day. Thank you, Mrs. Hartwell. You are not alone in this country either. The girl's eyes filled. She turned. She went down the steps. She walked to the wagon. She climbed in. The wagon rolled out of sight. Anna stood on the porch with the bread basket at her feet and did not move for a long time. Daughter. Maud. You have a witness. I have a witness. Daughter, this is not a small thing. It is not a small thing. Eat the bread. You are going to need to eat. I will not have you fainting on the day you got a witness. Anna almost laughed. She did not. She went inside. She took up the bread. She sat at the table with Eli on one side and Hope on the other, and Maud Tate said grace because Anna could not yet, and Anna ate, and the day went on because in this country, a day went on no matter what was in it. The sun was nearly down when the bay came up the road. Anna saw him from the porch. Pearson rode behind him at a distance as agreed. Luke swung down. He was dust to the eyebrows. His face was hollow with riding. He had a leather wallet under his arm that he had not had that morning. Anna. Luke. $52 in the wallet. The cousin has wired 60 more. It will take a week to come. That is 112. 28 short. We will have 28 in 3 days from the calf sale. You sound certain, Mrs. Hartwell. I am certain, Mr. Hartwell. He came up the steps. He stopped in front of her. He smelled of horse and of road. His eyes in the lamplight were not the eyes of the man who had ridden out at dawn. They were the eyes of a man who had ridden a long way and had come back to a porch and had been afraid all that long way that the porch would be empty. Anna. Luke. Tell me what happened today. She told him. She told him about Pearson and the paper and the south pasture. She told him about Sarah Day. She told him about Mrs. Whitlock and the bread. When she was done, he stood very still. Then he said, "We have a fight. We have allies. Anna. Luke. I did not bring you here to fight my fight. You did not bring me here, Luke Hartwell. I got off the train." He looked at her. He turned his face away. The way a man turned his face from a thing he could not afford to look at directly. Anna. Yes. I. A boot struck the porch step. Both their heads turned. A man stood at the bottom of the steps with a folded paper in his hand and a dust-pale coat over his arm and a federal badge pinned to his lapel. Mr. Hartwell. Mrs. Hartwell. Sir, my name is Calloway. I am out of the United States Land Office in Helena. I have ridden 3 days. I have been told a paper was filed against your property in the Bozeman Registry yesterday morning. I have come to inform you, sir, ma'am, that the Federal Survey of 1867 is on file in Helena, that I have a certified copy of it in this satchel, and that the paper filed against you is in plain federal terms a fraud. Luke Hartwell did not move for 1 long second. Then he took off his hat. Anna took his hand without looking at him. He did not let go. Calloway came up the porch steps slow, the way a man does when he has been on a horse too long, and Luke held the door open for him without a word. Inside, Mr. Calloway. Obliged, sir. Maud, ma'am, there is a federal man at the table. There is coffee wanted. There is coffee made, son. Come in, Mr. Calloway. Sit down. Eat first. Federal business waits 10 minutes for a man who has rode 3 days. The federal man sat. He ate. He did not speak while he ate, and Anna saw Luke watch him with the eyes of a man who had spent a year being told there was no help, and was now sitting in his own kitchen, across a table from help, and did not yet quite believe it. When the plate was clean, Calloway folded his hands. Mr. Hartwell. Mrs. Hartwell. I have not come on my own initiative. No, sir. A wire come into the Helena office 2 weeks ago, sir, from a Reverend Goodall of this district. He requested that any and all federal records pertaining to the Hartwell deed be pulled and certified and held ready. He stated, sir, that he believed a fraud was about to be attempted. The office did the pulling. We have been holding the certified copy for 2 weeks, waiting on the fraud. Anna's hand went flat on the table. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, ma'am. The Reverend knew. The Reverend has been keeping a record, ma'am. He has been keeping a record some considerable time. He sent it to the Territorial Marshal at Fort Benton last spring. The Marshal has been waiting on the right case. Mr. Crane has been careful. Yesterday afternoon, by all accounts, he stopped being careful. Luke had not spoken. He was looking at the table. Mr. Calloway. Sir? How much of what you are telling me am I allowed to hear? The federal man almost smiled. All of it, sir. I rode 3 days to tell it. I do not intend to ride 3 days back without telling it. The paper Mr. Crane filed yesterday is a federal matter because the original deed is a federal patent. The county clerk who accepted the filing is liable. Mr. Crane is liable. The cousin judge who has been accommodating Mr. Crane is liable and has been liable and is going to find that out shortly. The marshal will be in Bozeman tomorrow with 2 deputies and a writ. I am instructed to inform you, sir, ma'am, that Mr. Crane will be served at sunup. Luke closed his eyes. He closed them only for a second. But Anna saw it. She had seen a man do it once before her own father, the day the war ended, when the runner came to the door and said her brother had survived Vicksburg after all. It was the look of a man who had not let himself hope and was now being asked to. Mr. Calloway. Mrs. Hartwell. There is a witness. The federal man went still. A witness to what, ma'am? A witness to the death of Mr. Crane's second wife. She came to this porch this afternoon. Her name is Sarah Day. She is the sister of the deceased. She prepared the body for burial. She will testify. Calloway was a man not given to expressing himself, but he set his cup down with the particular care of a man who did not trust his hand. Ma'am. She is at the boarding house in town. She said to send for her. Ma'am, that is not a small thing. Maud Tate said the same. Maud Tate is right. He looked at Luke. Sir, with your permission, I will ride into town tonight. I will speak to Miss Day. If she will swear what she has told your wife, the marshal will act on more than land fraud tomorrow." Luke did not answer. He could not. Anna spoke for him. "You have his permission, Mr. Calloway. And mine." "I will need a fresh horse, ma'am." "Take the bay," Luke said, and his voice was thick. "He has come 3 days from Bozeman today, but he will go 4 miles to town tonight. Maud, will you saddle him my hands?" "Your hands are shaking, son. Sit. I will saddle the bay." She did. She was at the door in 2 minutes flat. "Mr. Calloway, the bay is at the rail. Ride straight. There is a lantern on the post by the gate at the boarding house. You cannot miss it. Ask for Miss Day. Do not let the proprietor know your business. She will come down." "Yes, ma'am." "Go." He went. The hoofbeats faded. The cabin was very, very quiet. Then Hope, who had been sitting under the table with her arms around Eli the whole time, came out from underneath and climbed into Anna's lap without asking, and Eli came after her and climbed into Luke's, and for a long-held minute, the only sound in the kitchen was a man and a woman, neither of whom had wept in front of anyone in a year, breathing very carefully, so as not to. "Papa." "Yes, Hope." "Is the bad man going away?" "I think he might be, Sweet Pea." "Is he going away tomorrow?" "I think he might be going away tomorrow." "For good." Luke looked across the table at Anna. "For good, Sweet Pea, the Lord willing." Hope nodded gravely, as if a 5-year-old child had been needing exactly that information to fall asleep. "Papa." "Eli." "My biscuit." "You want another biscuit, son?" "Please." Maud, weeping silently at the stove, fetched another biscuit. Anna laid her face against Hope's hair and let her shoulders come down for the first time in 24 hours. It was not over, but it was beginning to be over. Crane came at first light. 3 riders on the road, the same 2 hands. Crane himself in the lead. Maud saw them from the porch and called inside, and Luke came out with the rifle but did not raise it. Anna came out behind him with Eli on her hip, and Hope at her skirt, and Maud at her shoulder. Crane stopped his horse 20 feet from the porch. He did not dismount. "Hartwell." "Crane." "I have come to collect." "It has been 1 day, Crane. I have decided not to wait 30. That ain't the agreement. The agreement is amended. I will take the south pasture in lieu. The papers are with my attorney in Bozeman. He will draw them up by noon. You will sign by sundown, or your wife will be in irons by Tuesday for the debt." He said it pleasant, like he was discussing the price of feed. Luke's hand was on the rifle stock, but the rifle was at his side. Anna stepped forward. "Mr. Crane, Mrs. Hartwell, there is a federal officer in Bozeman this morning." A flicker, just a flicker, in the eyes. A federal officer. "From the United States Land Office in Helena. He has the original survey of this property. A federal patent, Mr. Crane. The paper you filed yesterday is a fraud against a federal patent. The marshal at Fort Benton has been notified. He is being served at this very hour, sir. Not by you. By him." The flicker became something else. It became cold. "Mrs. Hartwell, you are bluffing." "Mr. Calloway rode in last evening. He left for town at sundown. He is at this moment taking down the sworn statement of Miss Sarah Day regarding the death of your second wife. I expect the writ is being read on the steps of your courthouse in Bozeman within the hour." The 2 riders behind Crane shifted in their saddles. One looked at the other. The other did not look back. "Boys," Crane said quietly, without taking his eyes off Anna, "stay where you are." "Mr. Crane," the foreman began. "Stay where you are, McRae." McRae did not. McRae turned his horse 1/4 step. It was the smallest movement a man could make on a horse and still make a movement. But Anna saw it. Luke saw it. Crane saw it. "McRae." "Mr. Crane, I got a wife in town." "McRae, you have ridden for me 11 years. I have rode for you 11 years, Mr. Crane. I have not killed for you. I am not going to start today on the porch of a man with a federal officer at his back." McRae touched the brim of his hat to Luke. He turned his horse. He rode. The other hand looked once at Crane. Then he followed McRae. Theodore Crane sat his horse alone in the dooryard of Luke Hartwell's cabin with a Winchester in his saddle scabbard and a federal writ being read for him 40 miles away. And Anna Brennan Hartwell understood with absolute clarity that the man might still do something foolish. A cornered man often did. "Mr. Crane?" "Mrs. Hartwell." "Get off my husband's land." "Mrs. Hartwell, I will tell you what I told your husband. Get off my husband's land, Mr. Crane, while you are still able to ride off it." He looked at her. He looked at Luke. He looked at Maud, who had a rifle across her arms now, and the look of a woman who had buried 2 husbands and was ready to bury a 3rd stranger. He looked at the children. For one long, awful second, Anna thought he was going to draw. Then his hand came away from his coat. It came away slow. It came away empty. "Mrs. Hartwell." "Mr. Crane?" "You have not won. I have not lost, sir. That will do for today." He turned his horse. He rode. He did not ride hard. He rode the way a man rides who is trying very hard to look like a man who is not running. But by the time he reached the bend in the road, his horse was at a hand gallop. And by the time he was out of sight, he was at a flat run, and Maud Tate, lowering the rifle, said, "Daughter, in 40 years of this country, I have never seen a man ride himself off a porch like that. I will remember it on my deathbed." Luke had not moved. Luke was looking at Anna. "You faced him down." "I did." "With Eli on your hip." "With Eli on my hip." Anna Hartwell. Luke Hartwell. He set the rifle against the wall. He crossed the porch. He did not touch her. He stopped a half pace from her, as a man does in this country when he is asking a thing without saying it, and Anna Brennan, who had not been touched gently by a man in 5 years, set Eli down carefully on Maud's hip and turned back to her husband and laid her gloved hand very deliberately against his chest. "Luke, Anna, it is all right." His hand came up. It covered hers. It pressed her palm flat against his shirt over his heart. "Anna, I have not. Since Mary, I have not. I know it. I do not know how. I know it. Anna, Luke, we are not in a hurry. We have a cabin and a milk cow named Sugar that needs to come back into milk, and 2 children who have not been brushed for school, and a federal man riding back from town, and a $140 debt that may or may not be canceled, and a south pasture to defend, and a wedding to do over for the church record, and Mrs. Whitlock to face on Sunday. We are not in a hurry, Mr. Hartwell." His mouth against all expectation twitched. "You are a list maker, Mrs. Hartwell." "I am a list maker, Mr. Hartwell." "The Lord help me." "The Lord has been helping you, sir? Pay attention." He laughed. It was the first time Anna had heard him laugh. It came out of him cracked and rusted, like a hinge that had not turned in a long while, and Hope at her skirt looked up sharp, because the little girl had not heard her father laugh in 57 days, and Eli on Maud's hip said clearly, "Papa," and Luke went down on one knee on the porch boards in front of his son and gathered him in. He did not weep. Men in this country did not weep on porches. But his shoulders shook, and his face was pressed into Eli's small chest, and the boy's small hand was patting the back of his father's head, as if the boy were the man and the man were the boy, and Anna Brennan Hartwell stood with one hand on Hope's small shoulder and watched a family begin to mend. Maud said very softly, "Daughter, inside. Let them have a minute." Anna went. In the kitchen, she put both hands flat on the table and stood for a long time with her head bowed, and did not weep, because there was still work, and a federal officer riding back, and a Sunday coming. But she shook. For 1 full minute, she shook. Then she straightened. She washed her face at the basin. She put up her hair. She set water to boil for fresh coffee because Calloway would want it when he came back, and Pearson would want it, and there was bread to set, and the day was beginning, and Anna Brennan Hartwell had things to do. Calloway came back at noon. He had Sarah Day with him on a borrowed horse, and behind them rode the territorial marshal himself out of Fort Benton with 2 deputies, and behind them rode Reverend Goodall in a 1-horse buggy with a lap robe and a Bible, and a face like a man who had finally been allowed to put down a weight he had been carrying alone. The marshal did not stop. He tipped his hat to Anna on the porch. "Mrs. Hartwell, Mr. Hartwell, we are riding straight on to Crane's place. We have served him in absentia at the courthouse. He has been observed riding for the south boundary. We will overtake him before he makes the territorial line. I will be back tomorrow to take statements. Good day, ma'am, sir." He was gone before Anna could speak. Sarah Day climbed down from her horse alone. She came up the porch. She stood in front of Anna for a moment without speaking. Then she said, "I slept last night, Mrs. Hartwell. For the first time in 3 years, I slept the night through." Anna took both her hands. "Sarah." "Yes, ma'am." "Stay to dinner." "I will, ma'am." "Stay the week." "Mrs. Hartwell, I have an extra room. I have a husband who will ride you home whenever you wish to be rode home. I have a Maud Tate, who is a better cook than any boarding house. Stay the week, Sarah Day. You have given my children's father back to him. Stay a week and let me feed you." The girl's mouth trembled. "I will stay, Mrs. Hartwell. I will stay. Thank you, ma'am." There is nothing to thank. There is everything to thank. Reverend Goodall came up the steps last, his small, kind face folded in something very near to peace. "Daughter, Reverend, I owe you a wedding. You married us Tuesday, sir. I married you under duress, daughter. I will marry you on Sunday in front of the congregation in the proper hour with the proper banns in the proper book. I have the page already prepared. Mrs. Whitlock will see it with her own eyes, and will the Lord willing hold her peace forever after." Reverend Goodall, "Daughter, you knew. You knew 2 weeks ago." The small man bowed his head. "I had my suspicions, child. I had been keeping my book of suspicions for some time. I sent the wire to Helena because I had grown afraid for the next bride who would come up that road. I did not know it would be you. I prayed it would not have to be anyone. The Lord did not answer that prayer, daughter, but he answered another one. He sent a woman with a strong back and a soft heart," Maud said from the kitchen door. "And a soft heart, Mrs. Tate, as you noted previous." "As I noted previous, Reverend." Anna laughed. It was a whole laugh. Whole and unbroken and clean. It surprised her. Hope, holding her skirt, looked up. "Mama?" "Yes, sweet pea." "You laughed." "I did, sweet pea." "Do it again." "I will, Hope. Tomorrow, I promise." That night, after the federal men had ridden after Sarah Day, was settled in the small back room after Maud Tate had gone home for the first time in 2 days, saying she would be back in the morning whether she was wanted or not, after Hope and Eli were asleep in the loft with their fingers loose around each other's wrists. Anna stood at the kitchen window and looked out at the dark. Luke came up behind her. He did not touch her. He stood at her shoulder. "Anna." "Luke, I have something to ask you." "Ask." "Will you sleep in our room tonight?" She was quiet. "Our room." "The room you slept in 2 nights past." "Anna, I have been sleeping on the floor of this front room 57 nights. I am done sleeping on the floor of this front room. I would like to come to my own bed tonight, Anna Hartwell. I am asking your leave." She turned. She faced him. "Luke, you do not need my leave." "I need it more than I have needed anything in a year." She laid her hand on his chest again. "You have my leave, Luke Hartwell." "Anna, I am not Mary." "I know. I will not try to be. I am not asking you to be." "Then come to bed, husband. There is morning coming, and there will be cattle to count, and a marshal returning, and a Sunday wedding, and a milk cow to be brought back into milk, and I am tired, and I would like my husband to come to bed." He did. He did not touch her except for his hand finding hers under the quilt. But his hand found hers and stayed and held, and Anna Brennan Hartwell, who 1 week ago had been a widow on a train with $41 to her name, slept beside her husband in a bed a dying woman had blessed for her in a cabin on a piece of land that was protected. That was hers. That was theirs. Theodore Crane was overtaken at the territorial line at first dark on Friday and was returned to Bozeman in irons. He did not stand trial. He took his own life in the cell on the third night with a shoelace, which the marshal said was the only honest thing he had ever done. The court entered the South Pasture into the federal record under Hartwell. The county clerk lost his post. The cousin judge resigned. Pearson got back the half of his ranch he had lost, and McAllister got back his fence line, and the widow Drury, who had not been able to eat for a year, ate a Sunday dinner in October at Anna Hartwell's table and said grace herself. Sarah Day stayed 2 weeks and married a young man from Pearson's place in the spring. Mrs. Whitlock came to the church wedding on Sunday and sat in the front row and did not speak, and afterward came to Anna in the churchyard and said only, "Mrs. Hartwell, I have been wrong before. I will by the Lord's grace be wrong less often hereafter." Anna took her hand and said nothing because there was nothing to say. Eli began to talk in full sentences before the leaves turned. Hope started school in September and came home and read aloud to her mother every evening from the first reader, and called her mother Mama every time without pausing. Maud Tate came on Tuesdays and on Saturdays, and quarreled with Anna about the bread, and loved her like a daughter. The milk cow named Sugar came back into milk in November. Luke Hartwell laid the last board on the half-built room off the back of the cabin on the first day of December, and hung a door on it himself, and Anna asked him what it was for, and he said, "It is for whatever the Lord sends us, Anna." And Anna laid her hand on his arm and said, "Then you had best build a cradle, Luke Hartwell." And his face, when he turned it to her, was the face of a man who had been given more than he had asked for, and had stopped finally being afraid of it. Their daughter was born in the summer. They named her Mary because Anna asked it, and because Luke wept when she did, and because Hope was old enough by then to understand that a name can be a gift from one woman to another, across the silence of the grave, and a way of saying thank you for a bed that was not allowed to stand cold. Above the door of the cabin, Luke Hartwell hung a hand-carved sign that read in plain Western letters, "The Hartwells. All welcome. None turned away." He carved it himself. It was not pretty. Anna loved it past speaking, and on the porch of that cabin on a summer evening 22 years later, when Hope was a grown woman with children of her own, and Eli was a man who had become a doctor in Helena, and Mary was 16 and reading aloud from a book under the lamp. Anna Brennan Hartwell sat beside her husband in 2 rocking chairs. Luke had built her with his own hands, and she took his hand the way she had taken it on a porch the day a federal officer rode in, and she said quietly, "Luke." "Anna, do you remember the platform?" "Every day of my life, woman. I am glad I got off the train. I am glad," he said, "that the Lord put you on it." She rested her head against his shoulder. The lamp burned. The girl read on. The night came down soft over the cottonwoods. And Anna Brennan Hartwell, who had once been a widow with $41 and no people in the world, closed her eyes on the porch of her own home, beside her own husband, in the country that was hers, and understood with the absolute certainty of a woman who had been given back her life that she had not been saved by a stranger on a railway platform on a hot summer afternoon. She had saved him, and he had saved her, and together they had built out of grief and dust and a dying woman's blessing, a family that would stand long after they were gone. That family stands to this day,